Hey guys, just wanted to give a little bit of an update from this whole process. You can see it's a beautiful sunny day here in Savannah, Georgia, and the bees are all out running around. I've harvested a little over 2 gallons of honey so far over the past week or two. I've brought some of the jars over to let the bees clean out. They're going in and getting all the extra nectar and sugar and everything off of that. Also wanted to give a view inside the hive, what's been going on lately. You can see this is the exterior kind of observation frame of the flow hive, and the bees are basically at the capping stage. So once the nectar is in there for a while, the bees go in and evaporate out the water, and then they cap the honey. You can see, these up on the top here in the process of being capped. Some of them are already capped, but this frame will be ready to harvest probably in the next couple of days. There's still a little bit of room on these outermost cells, so maybe a handful of days, Monday or Tuesday it should be done, if not tomorrow. Although I mean, they're bringing in so much right now. You can see like the in-out traffic, but they are booking it. On the back here, well, a little tight. It's been raining, so the wood expands a little bit. You can see these 3 frames here are the ones that I've drained. So we still have this frame and these outer 2 that have not been. This frame is probably the next. I don't know. It's between these 2. They're not quite ready yet, especially the outermost frame, like the outer half of this far side is not done yet. But what's been interesting to me is I just harvested these middle frames basically yesterday, and was this frame, sorry, 2 days ago were these 2. And you can see the bees have already started refilling these cells with nectar. So it's going to be, I was told it would take about a few weeks for them to refill a frame. It'll be interesting to see how quickly, and we're definitely in a nectar flow right now, so there's a ton of resources and they're adding to these, but it'll be interesting to see how quickly they're able to do that. But anyway, this was the main thing I wanted to show, because just through the progression of these videos, it's been interesting. I got these bees back in the very first week in March, and just to see the progression as they've built this out. And the rule I've heard is it takes about 7 pounds of honey to make a pound of wax, and so I was nervous that I wouldn't even get honey this year, because of how long I didn't do any foundation frames, so everything was these bees starting from scratch, and they're clearly doing really well. I mean, Savannah's a great climate for it, and we've tried to set them up for success. I will say, just from an observational standpoint, if your goal is just to have really great honey, then there are far less expensive ways to do this. I've probably put in, I don't know, just under $1,000 for all the supplies and materials and everything, like the bee suits and the tools and the bees themselves and the flow frames and the hive and sealing the hive and just all the different things that have been part of this process. And my estimation at the way it's going now is I will probably get about 12 gallons of honey this year. Obviously you could get 12 gallons of honey for far less than $1,000. So, but I think the environmental impact, I've definitely seen around our neighborhood, the plants have been just blooming like crazy, and I feel like in general the pollination that we're getting out of the bees will be really, really worth it in the long run. But just the educational thing, a piece of it where this has been hugely informative to me to really get to know my bees, and this whole process has been completely fascinating and worth every bit of the investment, in my opinion. It's definitely great honey, and I'm really glad that that's been a resource, but I think the learning curve of this for me has just been getting to know how these hives work, how bees function, how they coordinate with each other, all the different roles and responsibilities that they take on, and looking at them as the insect, like how they live out their lives, but also how the hive as its own kind of superorganism functions is just completely fascinating to me. And so I'm a financial advisor by trade. I don't want to ever be a commercial beekeeper, but just really getting to use this as a way to kind of be in touch with nature and do my part from a ecological standpoint or environmental standpoint of contributing instead of just consuming. This has been a very fun adventure, and one I hope to continue for many, many years. But with that said, obviously if you guys have any questions, please feel free to post or ask, like, share the videos. I want to have these be a source of education and a resource in the community to hopefully remove some of the stigma from bees or beekeeping. I come out here, right now I'm in a t-shirt and jeans. I'm inches from the hive, and I have exceptionally temperate bees that are very calm. So far, my total sting count since the start of this, I've been stung twice, both of which have been my fault. Where one, I set my hand down on the top of the hive up on the roof and didn't pay attention where my hand was going, and I plopped my hand right on a bee, and of course, in defense, she stung me. And then the second time was I opened the hive on a really cloudy, almost rainy day, and they get nervous in that kind of environment. It's better to inspect them on a really warm and sunny day like it is today. And out of defense of the hive, I got popped. But I'm not saying if you keep bees you won't get stung. I fully expected to get stung doing this process, but given the amount of time I've spent doing this, and the time I spend out here with the bees, I expected to get stung a whole lot more than I have. And just the fact that I'm up close and personal, and all kinds of in their face and their business, and they just do what they do, and they're happy bees as long as they've got a good source of resources. So anyway, I'm gonna call it here. Obviously, if you guys have any questions, please, I'd love to help get more people doing this or feeling more comfortable with it, just supporting the hobby and the process. So love to hear from you. Thanks.